Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks to The Hungry Gamer is back with another mini review, and today we are talking about Role Player, and I will be talking about both of the expansions as well in this review. Now, for those of you that don't know, what Role Player is it is a gamification of the character creation process that you go in role-playing games. Things like Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons, and so on and so on. And what you're doing in this is you are trying to build a character with the best statistics. However, you're not doing it in a way that is just try to get everything, all your stats up to 18, which if you're not familiar with in Dungeons and Dragons, your stats are from a 3 to an 18 before bonuses and minuses get added in. The higher it is, the better of a statistic it is. And you're going to form those by rolling some dice. 3 dice, you can get 3 to 18. But in this, that's not actually how you make the best character, because what you're actually trying to do is you're going to be dealt out various cards that are going to give you a background and a class. And that background and class, as well as an alignment that you're going to have, are things that you are trying to manipulate on your board. So this background and class are going to tell you what colors of dice you're trying to get into your stat board. And as you can see, you have space for 3 different dice in each one. And then it's also going to tell you what is your target statistic number. And you're trying to hit that number exactly or in the range if that's what it is. And you're going to be awarded stars at the end of the game. The stars are going to be worth points. Now, how do you do this? Each round, there'll be a whole bunch of dice that are set out, and you're going to start with some on your board to begin with, but a whole bunch of dice set out, and you're going to do a draft, and you're going to draft the one that you want. And if you pick one that is a lower number, you're going to get to go shopping first and get first crack at things that are in the market. But of course, a higher number is obviously a higher number. And then the one in the middle is going to possibly give you some more coins, which is going to give you more purchasing power. So it's a little bit of a dance that you're playing, trying to figure out how you want to balance these things. However, there's a little bit more to it, because as you put each die in your player board, depending on the stat, it's going to let you do something. It might let you switch the positions of 2 dice. It might let you take a die and flip it over. So if it's a 6, it's now a 1, or 1, it's now a 6. Or it might let you just add or subtract 1. Or it might let you buy something, and when you make your purchase, you get a discount on it, and so on and so on and so on. So it's this puzzle that you're trying to get your numbers to match what it is that your background and your class are asking you to do, and at the same time you're trying to manage your alignment, because you want to get your alignment to a certain place. Those people who have played lots of Dungeons and Dragons stuff, you know what I'm talking about. There's those 9 different alignment, and as you go through the game, sometimes you're going to put a thing in a stat, which is going to allow you to move your little alignment cube one place, but when you get to that market phase, you're going to be able to buy things. And you might buy something very simple. You might buy a weapon. You might buy armor. You might buy a scroll. And all these are going to do different things. They're going to give you different benefits and bonuses when you advance through the game. It might give you a bonus when you fight something, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. It might give you a bonus when you take a certain kind of die. You'll get a bonus. Or it might be some kind of in-game scoring bonus. I hope you see where I'm going. But in addition to that, there are skills that you can pick up, which you're going to be able to use each round, which is, again, going to do a whole variety of things. And usually when you use these skills, it's going to affect your alignment, so that's going to start moving too. So I hope what you're starting to grasp here is that every single thing you do has an effect on these numbers and the position of these dice that you're going to be possibly moving around, or maybe you're going to buy something that's going to give you a bonus, so that's going to make you draft a die that maybe you wouldn't normally, but because you have said item, now by drafting that die, that's actually going to be better for you than if you had drafted something that seems better on the surface. And that's the core game. However, there is the Monsters and Minions expansion. Now what that does, it adds 2 things. One, it adds a boss that you're actually going to go fight. Because in the core game, you literally make your character, you're done. That's it. Whoever did the best job, according to the things I mentioned earlier, will win the game. However, you add Monsters and Minions, and it does 2 things. One, it puts a bunch of minion monsters out there that when it's time to go to the market, you can say, you know, I'm not going to the market. I'm going to go fight some stuff. And each monster is going to be big, and the dice you roll will be determined on the stats that you have, the type of monster you're facing, and it's a little bit thematic that way. And then if you're able to kill that, then you're going to get bonuses, and if you kill it real good, then you're going to get information about the big boss that you're going to show up, that you're going to have to fight at the end. And then at the end of the game, everyone's going to have to fight the big boss. And as you've gone through the game, you've been finding out more and more about how to hurt this monster. And you only have done that by fighting those minions. And then at the end of the game, you fight it, and that will award you more points, and it also gives the possibility of, if you don't beat it, you just lose. You're just out. And then the other thing that it adds is it adds dice that aren't 1 through 6. They are 3 through 8, I believe. That number might not be right, but it is still a 6-sided die, but there's no low numbers. The numbers just go particularly high, which obviously gives you the ability to reach different numbers as you're going on this track. However, these dice are also colorless, so that won't allow you to hit the color placements that you're trying to get based on your background in class. Then we have the Fiends and Familiars expansion. Now, the first thing I'll say is, the one I have that they were so kind enough to send me is a big box, so I can put everything in here of all role player, which is great, 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 because space is at a premium. But what that does is it adds these fiends, little things that are going to be out there, kind of be additional obstacles that you're going to have to get through, and it's going to add familiars, which are things that are going to help you. You have a familiar, yay, it's your friend, it's going to help you. But the more interesting thing is it adds split-colored dice that have lower numbers on them, but you might have a die that is red or blue, or green or yellow, or whatever it may be. So you have these split-colored dice that are going to be able to give you more flexibility, but might not give you the numbers that you want. So, with all of that said, what do I like about this game? I like, well, rolling dice, right? I mean, who doesn't like rolling dice? Rolling dice is fun. So it's a whole game about all these rolling of the dice, but at its core, it is a fun, interesting puzzle as you play through, as you're moving through and figuring out, okay, I'm going to take this die, put this die in this place that makes no sense right now, but later on, if I get the right die I want and put it into a different slot, I'm going to be able to move this where I want it to be, which is going to accomplish what I want then, and I'm going to get some kind of extra bonus that I want now for taking what seems like a bad idea. And then as you're going through, you're building your character stats, and you have this target backstory, and I really like that this target backstory is designed to make these strong characters, but you're not, again, just doing get the highest stats on everything, because that's boring. But along with that, you're building up your character's gear, for want of a better term, and you're outfitting them. And you're going through and you're making this character that, boy, how much fun would it be to actually go play with? And that I just think is fantastic. And then if you add into that the monsters and minions, then you actually get to do a little bit of that. Not a ton of that. It's still, the core is still this puzzle, this fun little puzzle that you're doing, but then you actually get to do that. You can go fight some goblins or whatever, and then fight the big boss at the end. And that is enjoyable. I definitely appreciate that. And so those things I really like. I think what I probably like the most is, though, and I'm going to talk about this again when I get to my quibbles, is that you're making these cool characters, what I just said, and then if you have also gotten in on role player adventures, you will then be able to actually use the character that you've created, which is so exciting to me. I love that idea. I love the idea of making this character in one game, then taking it into this campaign game, kind of playing through it. That's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait to be able to do that. But again, I'll talk about that a little bit with my quibbles, because there is a bit more to that. But all of that I really like. And there is so much variety with the different types of classes and backgrounds and races that you can play. And it's just, the options are so endless in many ways. And that is just such a delight. It is so much fun kind of figuring out that puzzle and where to go. And then you take different combinations, because you can give yourself a combination that on its surface is harder based on the type of race that you've picked and the bonuses that are assigned to that race, and then you combine that with a class that might be a little bit more challenging. So all of that I really do enjoy. I think it works really well. So what are my quibbles? I think to get good value, probably maybe the best value out of this game, you need to have role player and monsters and minions. I think role player on its own is good if you were really into that dice placement puzzle, like really into it. Because without the monsters and minions, I found I was unsatisfied, because I would play and then we were done. I didn't get to do anything with the character. So if you add in the monsters and minions, you get to do something, and that does give a little closure to the game. But that means, in my opinion, you have to have role player and monsters and minions. And then, of course, I said I'm so excited about adding this all in with Role Player Adventures. Well, Role Player Adventures is an expensive game. It is a big, big game, and I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be, well, I've played it a little bit, and it's going to be great fun, but that means I'm now saying to really get the most value out of Role Player, you need Role Player, Monsters and Minions, and Role Player Adventures. And now we're starting to talk about a pretty penny. And then you're probably noticing that I haven't said much about Fiends and Familiars. And that's because it's good, but I don't think it's necessary. It's good, and it adds something to the game that it wasn't there before. It doesn't feel tacked on, but I only recommend it if you really like Role Player and Monsters and Minions. If you were really loving that, the added combinations that you get from Fiends and Familiars are going to be great, but you have to really love it. And again, now we're talking Role Player, Monsters and Minions, Fiends and Familiars, Role Player Adventures. Now we're talking about a lot of space on your shelf, and so it kind of builds up and up and up. So there you have it, folks. That is Role Player. I think if you like dice placement and you enjoy creating characters, if you're the type of person who's like, oh man, I just love creating different characters, whether it's playing a video game or actually playing RPGs or whatever it is, then if you really enjoy that and you just like chucking some dice, then this is a fun game. Without a doubt, it is enjoyable. It's a good puzzle. It's not that hard to figure out and play. It's enjoyable. And if you really love that, then get all three of these. All three. Then you're going to enjoy this game. If you, on the other hand, are looking for adventure and actually fighting and killing things, then this is not the game for you. It's just not. Even with Monsters and Minions, which gives you closure and you get to do some fighting, it's not about fighting, it's about the dice puzzle. So there you have it, folks. That is Role Player with Monsters and Minions and Fiends and Familiars. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.